early AI. She's going to be coming to the stage with her panelists now. Please welcome Colleen and the panelists.
Hello, great to see everybody. I hope everyone's enjoying the day so far. I think we've had a number of presentations back to back this morning, so before we all settle in for this exciting panel, maybe everyone could just stand up. And quickly, let's get some blood flowing. You could just stretch up to the ceiling, nothing too crazy, but let's just move around, re-energize.
Yes.
Stretch it out. Yeah, see, everyone's feeling it. All right, awesome. Thank you. Perfect. Also my icebreaker. Great, thank you. I hope everyone's enjoying the morning. I'm thrilled to be here on stage with three incredible leaders joining me today. This is going to be an incredibly engaging conversation. Talking before coming out to this panel, we've all talked about the fact that the most powerful discussions really come from questions and come from observations within the audience as well. So we will be sure to hold time for Q&A at the end of the conversation. Start thinking about your questions. Don't be shy. We really want to make sure that what we're talking about really hits home for everybody today. Philippe, furthest away from me, you are the VP, the Senior VP and Chief AI Officer at Schneider Electric. What I love about what Philippe is bringing to today's conversation is his experience as an engineer on the business side of the organization and actually moving into the work of AI. So we often talk about building connections and building bridges between technical and non-technical or business and innovation teams. And Philippe, you really are the human in that role. And so look forward to hearing your perspective today.
Thank you.
Sylvie, you are the VP and Chief Analytics and Data Officer at TD. In your role, you actually started your career in AI. You were the first statistician hired at TD, and since then, you've hired a small town across the organization. Yeah. So I think those successes really speak for themselves, but I look forward to hearing about how you've built and designed that strategy.
Thank you.
And then Prasad, you're leading Ericsson's global AI Accelerator. Your focus is on Gaia North America. And in the work that you're doing, you're really focused on building the strategy and adoption of AI and ML across Ericsson. So it's an absolute pleasure having you here today. I know your focus is really on how to motivate and how to get people being a part and an active participant in an AI-organized organization. So the topic of today's conversation is really how to create an AI-powered organization. We'll have some great discussions, and let's dive into that. So Prasad, I'd love to start with you.
Okay.
I'd love to take a moment, maybe just to set the foundation on how you can think about what is an AI-powered organization, how do you set the foundation to create this type of strategy, and what are the considerations you need to have in mind?
Okay, so thanks everyone. Good to see you all, colleagues, friends, and I see some familiar faces here. Thank you. Today, I'm taking the privilege to represent Ericsson here with all of you. I also want to share with you that we are celebrating 70 years of presence in Canada. So that's a great moment for us. We have been very proud of this. We have been here. So coming to your question, for me, any technology that we bring into our products and services has to enhance the human value. AI has the potential, and that is the reason why we are trying to implement or use in our products and services. Of course, as we talk further and go further, you will see the different aspects we need to look into it. How do you understand the value we are trying to create? Why are we creating this? How does it actually impact into the products and services? It is a journey you need to go through, and this is really the thinking not about just doing a task, but thinking through how it will impact our society, our people, our company, our profits, our customers. It's a journey which you need to think through when you're building this kind of, adopting some of these technologies like that.
Absolutely. I think the concept of a journey, it's definitely not a sprint. And I think as we're seeing so much change happen today, that's a really critical piece to keep in the back of our pockets to consider. Sylvie, I want to ask you a question. You have incredible recognition from internally at TD as well as externally with your peers as well. And a lot of the work that you do is around inspiring the next generation of talent. And what we've talked about already is how it's so critical to get the right people in the right roles and to ensure that you're, almost filling the gaps in this strategic way to ensure that you have the ability to actually scale up your AI strategy effectively. I'm wondering if you can share some more insights around this strategy.
For sure, it's my pleasure. First, I want to say I'm delighted to be here. Et pour les Montréalais, je suis de Montréal, alors je parle français. Je suis très contente d'être parmi vous. I have to say that a lot of people don't know that, but about me, that story, internally, everybody knows it, but externally, not a lot of people knows it. I started my career as an intern 23 years ago at TD, between my bachelor in math and my master in statistics. Yes, I was the first intern in statistics, and I built the first analytics team for TD. And so next gen and the talent is really near and dear to my heart. I really believe one of the first things I did is give back by doing an internship program at TD that does permit people to, for data and analytics, to kind of do rotation between different roles. So one thing I always believe in AI is that you need multifunctional teams. I have an AI background, a statistics background, that was my master, but what I really did in my career is I did everything spectrum from data to analytics, to reporting, to insight, to understanding the business, to technology and engineering, to understanding the technology, challenging the technology, understanding the business, and challenging the business. I did that in my 22 years career, and that's what led me to do what I do today, and I believe a lot in that. So how do I motivate the next gen? Is definitely by telling them that story and making them that rotation, because we will never be able to scale well AI if we don't have those multifunctional team. And being part of that multifunctional team, you need to understand how it's all cohesive together. That's one thing. And I think second thing that I think we need to do, and I do often, is I am one of the people that believe in action. And I do talk a lot at universities, at colleges, CJEP, high school, to attract more young people in that domain. AI existed for centuries. It's not new. The difference is the power of computing and the data, and how you tell the story, and how exciting it is, and how passionate you are. And I think that's how you have to motivate your next gen and attract people. So.
What I think is so interesting about that, it's not just about building the pipeline of people to bring into the organization and give those experiences to, but it's also about giving them the opportunity to build perspective and to understand the different roles and different considerations that each team has and is trying to navigate, because that becomes one of the hardest challenges for people to try to push something forward and not understand why there might be pushback. So there's so much value in that. Philippe, over to you. I wanted to understand a little bit more about your role. First of all, I think your journey, your path is really an inspiration. What it tells me is that you don't have to set out from day one graduating university into a career in AI and tech. What you can do is really build these building blocks to get you to a place where you can have high impact and bring in that different perspective to really help drive organizational impact and sustainable innovation. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about your journey. I'd love to hear your perspective of bringing this non-technical, non-traditional view to them becoming the Chief AI Officer.
Thank you, Colleen, for those very kind words. Maybe what I would start with is a kind of a very personal story. When Jean-Pascal Tricoire, our CEO, came to me maybe 18 months ago, saying, Philippe, I would like you to be the first chief AI officer in the history of Schneider Electric. My very first reaction was, Jean-Pascal, are you out of your mind? I know nothing about AI. I don't even know what it is. You probably pick up the wrong Philippe, so check again. And he said, no. And I think he said, I would like you to take this job for 3 reasons. You understand our business. I had like 20 years of general P&L, business responsibilities, sales responsibilities. He said, you understand our organization as a company, and it is not an easy one, and you have probably enough, let's say, science background to be able to learn and understand a bit what's happening in the algorithms. And I think he was right, and I will extend on that. He was right, of course, because in case he listens, he is our CEO, so you are right, Jean-Pascal, but more seriously, I think he was right, because if I look at large companies, we are 30 billion euro, 150,000 employees, and so on. If I come back on the first reason he asked me to take the job, which was business knowledge, the real challenge for a company like us today is not to be at the forefront of the most recent algorithm with the finest bells and whistles and so on. The real question is, how can we identify the true business needs? How can we identify when we can really bring a difference to our customers, to our operations with AI? And for that, understanding the business, and it's not anymore about me, but if anybody here wants to set up an AI organization, you need to have people, as you were saying, who really understand the business. The second reason, it's maybe a bit more tricky, but many of AI projects or organizations fail because, let's face it, they're a bit outside the organization, they are very scientists, they know a lot of things that nobody understands, and they can be isolated. So I guess that understanding how the company works, how you can embed AI, and that is really company-specific. Your company can be a matrix organization, can be a verticalized organization, but to be successful, to build an AI-powered organization, you need to understand what powers your organization and how you can make it truly happen. And the last thing is, probably you still need a bit of science. There is a lot of smoke and mirrors. So there is a new things every 2 days. And you need to be able to understand a bit so that you can say, that makes a lot of sense for us, or okay, that's just hype, let's wait a bit. So business, I would say, critical. Understanding the organization, especially when it's a very big one with a lot of transformation. People always say 10% technique, 90% people, and still trying to understand a bit what happens. So that was the story so far.
Well, I think it's a very fascinating one and clearly quite successful. I would like to kind of take that a step further because you've touched on a few points. Innovation, when we think about how we plan for the long term, short-term wins are really fun, but they can also be really costly. And so how do you take the strategy that you're building at the organization and ensure that you're looking at it long-term and making sure that the steps that you're taking today are really towards that long-term successful innovation, not just something that is a trend that everyone wants to jump onto or a passion project that people have decided to work in a silo and move forward on? How do you ensure that you're looking out into the future for success?
Maybe I could start with, I was meeting a partner some time ago who was saying, I am not Air Canada, I'm not Air France, I'm not Lufthansa, but I have more pilots in AI than pilots in those companies driving planes. And the risk of AI is pilots and nice stuff. So what I would say is, and you touched it already, Sylvie, is always start from the business need, always start from the use case, and always start with a business need which has a value. The value can be in dollars, in euros, in customer satisfaction, in carbon reduction, but it has to have a value that you can measure. And the second thing is when you start your AI project or when you design your AI organization, always design it to deliver the at-scale solution implemented and used. Don't design it to deliver pilots. And what I say here sounds kind of obvious, but I can tell you, I see so many companies where the AI team is still mostly part of the innovation team. They do pilot, and at the end of pilot, they say, oh, that was nice. How do we scale now? Too late. You will never scale anymore. So always start really from, this is the use case I want. This is how it's going to be used, by which people, in which way, for what purpose, for what value. And then that has a lot of consequences. That means, for example, that I think it is important that the same team takes the use case, the AI project, from the very early days till the end. Doesn't mean you have the same people, but at least making sure you have the same core team, project leader, product owner, all of that. Even if, of course, you will have more of a kind of engineering at the end to make it at scale, more scientists in the beginning, but one team responsible from day one till the end, and the end is not delivering a model in the cloud. The end is the solution is implemented, it is used, and value is being delivered. That's one of the really key things for me. The other key thing I would say, in addition to having this team who does it from day one till the end, but I will not say it too much because Sylvie said it, obviously, that team cannot be a data scientist team. That team has to be a project team with data scientists, data engineers, all that you know, but also the people who have the domain knowledge. To do something for your finance team or for line of business, you need those people who have the knowledge, but also who have the power to implement, integrate in the tools, train the sales force, whatever it is. So that team delivers the solution. You should, I think, get away from the kind of supplier-customer relationship, digital factories, but really build joint teams who deliver use cases. And then the last point I would say is, if you really want to be at scale, if you want to be sustainable, if you want that in 5 years, people don't curse your name because you have created so many technical depths and so many things that nobody can maintain, it's worth also investing a bit in some platform, some modules, some reusable stuff, so that it is maintainable on the long term. So to sum up very quickly, start from the use case, never the technology. Whatever LLMs look great, what is important is what can they bring to your company. Always start your project with the end game in mind. As you said, join team with knowledge and still a bit of core engineering to have something sustainable.
The pilot is just a stepping stone into the bigger picture, absolutely. And Prasad, I think we can kind of take where you've kind of left this and talk a little bit about how to navigate the life cycle of development and the different ebbs and flows and cyclical changes that you have to navigate as a leader, but also as a team member. How do you manage this process?
So, as Philippe pointed out, I think it's about the value creation. What is that we are trying to achieve is the end product or end solution, and what is the value it's creating. As a part of that, there might be a lot of unknowns to begin with. That's when you start off as a pilot. And this is basically as a journey, as I'm talking about, is this might lead you to understand that we need to do some fundamental research. We might have to do some kind of applied sort of proof of concept type of things, and then actually understand how we actually implement this into the solution which is already there, or the product that is already there, the service part of it. So this is really going through that step-by-step process of creating the value. And then when it comes to the point of scalability, like where is this going to be, as I said, 5 years, or the kind of complex environment that you're introducing this particular AI model, where does it fit? What are the life cycle aspects of that particular solution? And how is your particular part of the model or deliverable that you have is going to be integrated and managed? This has to be very well thought through and really sort of think about that and then maintain the adoption into the product and the services.
So very heavily focused on the process, not skipping ahead, not going through this sprint, forgetting steps along the way. Also thinking about, the roles that are really important to help navigate this, making sure that the right people are in place. I'm going to look at my notes because I think you had a great quote yesterday. If you don't have the roles, you'll just never be able to scale. And I think that's so relevant, something we can all relate to. A lot of the time, and Philippe, you mentioned this, is the consistency of the team, the expertise that people build up over time. What I'm picturing is, this ecosystem that kind of builds and expands and evolves. So how do you navigate that? How do you make sure that you're filling the right roles with the eye on scale?
So in TD, we did something, Colleen, and it's been a while since we're doing it. We are operating agile, in an agile manner, right? Where you're setting up what we call pods. You have product owners that's coming from the business, that understand fully well the business, as Philippe has said, and you're prioritizing what's critical for the value of the business. And there's within the pods, what I would call in the case of AI, AI translator that I call an AI builder. That's as easy, as simple as I would say. What is AI builders? Is all your engineers, developers, technologists, data scientists, data miners. That's your AI builder. What I call AI translators are all the project management folks, all the change management on how you're changing the business and driving that value and telling that story. How are you, from a business perspective, driving the value and putting it in your financial and your P&L and tracking it? Because again, there's innovation and there's innovation with purpose. I think the mistake that people do, and a lot of the data scientists, which I'm one of them in the beginning, or analytics scientists, think we can do it all. And it's so much fun and we're going to innovate. But at the end of the day, if nobody's using it, if you can't scale it up, if you can't implement it and driving value, then it's great, but it's going to be put on a shelf. And this is really what I agree with Philippe. There's piloting, but there's piloting with purpose, knowing what you're solving for and thinking about the strategic priorities of the organization and building it that way for the organization. And that's how you grow an AI and a data team. And that's how we went, because we showed the value and we were aligned with the strategy of the organization. And yes, you picked the right role. And the people that want to do different roles, then you can have many careers within the same field because you're doing all this. Data engineering, data scientists, AI modelers, ML, you can do it all in that. You can have many careers in that by doing it. But you have to really pick the right roles, and it's going to increase the innovation because the right people are doing the right thing. And instead of your AI modeler builder starting tracking the data and all this, they have to understand the data, but they don't need to build all the data because you have the developers with you to develop it the right way, right? But you still need to understand. I believe in all those roles, you need to be understanding what you're doing because that's where you hit your ethic AI that we spoke, yes, what's right and wrong. Yeah. There's many data out there and there's a lot of bias, so you need to really understand the data to avoid some of these things.
And I think it goes back to that idea of perspective, giving people the opportunity to see different perspectives and to be able to work in this really collaborative manner as opposed to, butting heads against each other. You said the word, you mentioned ethical manner. I think we can't really talk about scaling AI without talking a little bit about AI ethics and how organizations do really need to address these challenges and focus on fairness and bias and mitigating these risks. How do you work in such a large organization and try to bring this strategy into every single thing that you do? What point is it the most important to focus on ethical AI, and who's really responsible for it?
Honestly, I believe everybody within that space, whether it's in Philippe driving this or I'm driving it for TD, everybody within that space has that responsibility. It goes from your developers to the people that will use it, for whether it's for your customer or whatever. You need to look at this and ask yourself, is it the right model? Sometimes you have a lot of data again, a lot of the power of computing, but sometimes there's bias in it. So you need to analyze and ask yourself, does that make sense at every step of the way? Yeah. And everybody has that responsibility. I heard the panel previously, and there will be standard from the government, and there will be a regulation, but I don't think you need to wait to that. And that's something that we're doing at TD. We're looking at our customers. Everybody expects us to do the right thing for them, use the data the right way, and build the model the right way. So the folks that are doing all these things are all responsible in my head. I hold everyone accountable. Right. When it does come to me, I wonder, well, why did it come to me and I'm seeing it? Why didn't we see it earlier? Of course, everybody could have mistakes, but I think everybody within that process that are building this have that responsibility.
And Prasad, I know you wanted to talk about this as well.
I think it's here. I think what we are as data scientists and AI engineers, what we're doing, I think, yes, we think about the model. This model has an impact across the system. When I tell my engineers, when it comes to ethics and also from the trustworthiness of these aspects, think about how can you unlearn the model, the machine learning model you have built. Because we will probably realize, because it's got a system-wide impact, you start introducing this model, your decision is going to impact another decision maker is going to make another decision based on this, either it's a system or a people, your model is going to be there. If you suddenly recognize that there was a certain amount of bias has been introduced, you need to somehow bring it back across the system. So that means it's important to think not about machine learning models. I also strongly believe that we have to start thinking, especially how AI is evolving, how do we develop machine unlearning models that actually take the impact out of the systems that what we are building. So this is important in different aspects, but that's really what I would also ask engineers to think. It's not just about testing like the software engineers used to think. I think as machine learning engineers and AI engineers, how can I ensure if I want to unlearn this model, what do I need to take care of, especially from ethical and trustworthy aspects of it. And the bias might get introduced in the system.
Yeah. Really.
And you know, Colleen, when I listen to you, something which I think is important also when you talk about ethic and bias and so on, definitely, as you both said, it is super important to take it as a first priority. When I listen also to all the requests, as you say, to government regulation and so on, what I often say is, let's try as AI, either specialists or generalists, but AI players, to use AI to make our companies and the world more ethical and less biased than today. We will probably not make a world non-biased and fully ethical, but at least if with machine learning models, we can make it less biased and more ethical, it would be a good step forward.
I think that's a great way to summarize it. We have one more question on the panel, and then we want to open it up. So please get your questions ready. I also want to mention that we're happy to accept questions in French and English, so don't hold back. The last question, it wouldn't be April 2023 without talking briefly about generative AI and where we are. And what I think is so powerful about this panel today is the leadership and the experience that we have sitting here. And you folks have gone through some incredible cycles throughout the years of hype cycles, of trends, of innovation and transformation. And I just wanted to get maybe really quickly each of your perspectives kind of on how organizations can look at what's happening with open source AI platforms and generative AI, et cetera. The list certainly can go on. And how companies can consider how to embrace this, how to evaluate if they should embrace this, how to choose the best path forward and try to avoid, the risks or the negative side or their choices going the wrong way. So Prasad, I'll start with you. We'll go really quickly through, and then we'll move it over to the audience.
The generative AI and the ChatGPT aspects is the talk of the town, as all of you know, and all of us know. I think we are evaluating different aspects of it. From an ethical perspective, trustworthy aspect of it, is it really something that we can put our brand behind it and actually deliver to our customers and our employees? We are looking at it to see if there are certain aspects which we probably are not within the guidelines what we want to and what we believe in and are based on our values. We probably will compartmentalize. This is a great technology. I'm sure we're going to use this, but I think we're going to probably use it for some of the internal purposes and some of the aspects what we can help our customers with a lot of reliability behind this, from a trustworthiness and the ethical aspects of it. That's really what we vouch for. That's how we're looking at it.
So, Colleen, the hype, I believe, again, ChatGPT, generative AI existed. Conversational AI existed a long time ago. The difference is now the open source and everybody has access to it. Even my 13-year-old could download ChatGPT and play with it, which I did, by the way, and I loved it. But I loved it to a certain extent because, again, there's a lot of things that needs to be considered. I do believe organizations need to look at all these things because if they don't, they will be left behind. However, we do need to look at how to use it. As Prasad said, we need to use it the right way for the right purpose. And right now at TD, we are looking at the use cases, and we're going to probably test it out internally on certain workflows or internal things to drive cost effectiveness things, and then push it further and further and see how we can go about it. And I do believe there will be really some guidelines on usage and how to do it, because again, it's all about customer and how we're using the customer data the right way, the safe way, with the right risk oversight. But I do believe that every organization needs to look at all these things.
Philippe.
A lot has been said, but I would say from our point of view, short term, everything which is about language generation, like automatic report, better customer interaction, chatbots, all of that looks reachable in the very near future, as long as someone or something can check the outcome. You cannot use it, I guess, at least today. If you can, it's not somebody can check the outcome, but if, like myself, your English is not too good, it can be a great tool to have properly written English text. More medium and long term, generative AI, even if it exists in a long time, if well applied on more technical matters, may open new big areas for AI, but I think this is more a medium-term story than a very short-term story.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Colleen.
Let's open it up to the floor. So put your hand up, please, if you have a question.
Whoa.
I'm going to go right to the back of the room here. Love to get your question. I think there are mics walking around, people with mics.
Hi there. Can you guys hear me okay? All right,
Yeah.
cool. First of all, thank you to all of our panelists today. I really appreciate you guys coming out here. My name is Jeremy Jones. I work for a building services company, not too dissimilar from you, Philippe. So my question is probably going to be more directed towards you. First of all, Philippe, what is the most impactful thing that you guys have done with AI at Schneider Electric? And then secondly, how are you guys using today or planning to use artificial intelligence to make the frontline workers' jobs easier?
So first, I would like to invite you to my speech tomorrow. What excites me incredibly with AI and Schneider Electric is obviously the world has to go through a transition towards a green economy, a more green electricity, less carbon decarbonization. And simply, it will not happen without AI, to make it simple. The complexity of the electricity and the energy management in the new context of deconcentrated energy production, electrification, optimization of demand, balanced demand and supply, my belief is clear. Without AI, there is no way it happens really at scale. So what we work on and what excites me most is we believe we can seriously contribute to solve the climate change, the climate dilemma, not solve it, but contribute by AI, by really adapting the demand and the supply and really enabling renewable to be fully integrated in our daily life. So that's really what excites me a lot today and what we work mostly.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to go right here on the corner. Oh, yeah, perfect.
Hello. My name is Mariam. I'm coming from the Canadian Institutes for Health Information. And if you believe in that data is an asset, we are a very rich company having extensive nationwide data sets. And I'm having a question for all of you to tackle a challenge that we may face soon and being aware of the opportunities of the AI capabilities. I know all of you in their companies offer lots of interesting services and products and put all of your efforts to improve the pipeline from the data collection, building models upon it, and improving the models and serving the customers. My question is for you is that have you ever used the AI capabilities to come up with the idea of offering other services and products as an alternative for human intelligence within your companies or as a complementary help? Maybe we can learn from you.
Just to make sure I understand, have we used AI to look at different offers for our customers?
Yes, have come up with the ideas that to have more products, other products.
So definitely we did, again, innovation with purpose at TD, and we did that for, we did for a few products that we looked at different ways and how do people react to one product associated with something else. What are the product that goes together with our customer, and if a customer buys one product, what's the likelihood to buy the different other products? That's what we did to innovate new product. I would say we used it more on the digital forefront. A lot of our digital offers comes by AI, and we've done that at TD. But again, it needs to be very controlled to make sure that it's what the customer needs, right? So again, when we do this, we do it, we pilot it, we make sure with a few customers that it's good before we open it up to all the folks. So we did that at TD for sure, from a digital aspect.
And our time is up. Thank you so much. Thank you to the panelists. Thank you to the great questions. I know there are more.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you to our panel. And as many of you may have noticed, it is lunchtime. We will be regathering at 2 p.m. So please do get some lunch, get some refreshments, go meet our partners in the expo. After that, after lunchtime at 2 o'clock, we're going to have some more main stage presentations in this room. And then we're going to have a workshop track. In the workshop track, we're going to have Patricia Thane, who's the CEO of Private AI, who is going to be talking